let's look at an individual. Let's say me, for example, trying to start, let's say a beauty brand or a
Okay.
beauty product. At what point should I begin to think marketing?
Marketing starts when you find a market, just understanding the needs of people, factoring in the things that people actually want, and then at the end of the day, putting it out there to sell to them, which is the part that most people actually relate to most. That's the putting it out there is also marketing. Be open to trying things. So there's this thing I read in an article. How like a lot of big techs work on their product. They release a feature, it doesn't perform. So they do like a point and, I don't know if it's point and kill or like try and kill, I don't know. Basically, they try it doesn't work, they kill it. Like they're very sharp with execution. I don't know, for some reason in the boardroom, the decision is very, very slow. Everybody just, oh, is this how we want to? We should have a more agile system where we can try things and kill them. Try things, when it fails, kill it. When it works, you allow it.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Ayeni Princess. And today in the studio, I have a very special guest, Olushola Favour. And today we'll be looking at everything marketing. Trust me, Olushola is a brand and communication specialist, and you're going to learn so much more about marketing. So stay tuned. Hi, Olushola.
Hello, Princess.
I don't know why I keep calling you Olushola.
I mean, that's fine. Olushola is my father's name. In some context, I actually prefer to be addressed as my father's name, but it works for me. Olushola
Okay.
Favour, anyone. Plus, Olushola sounds mature. Mr. Olushola.
Yeah, I think I like it.
It's much more preferable.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the
You're welcome.
podcast. I am
welcome.
so glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here too. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, I wanted to have a chat, right, with a marketing expert, and then, a friend told me about you, spoke highly of you, in fact, and I said, nah, I must have you here.
I'm not liable for whatever it is that the person has said. I just really do hope that I'm able to meet up with the expectation of whatever the person has said.
I am certain you will. So let's get to know you.
All right. My name is Favour Olushola, like you rightly said.
Yeah.
I'm a brand and communication specialist, marketing comms actually. I have about half a decade experience, working across different industries. I've had the opportunity to work in, telecommunications, like work on clients in telecommunication space, restaurants, basically food and what you call KSR, quick service restaurants. Then also had the opportunity to work in tech. I currently work in tech, and also sustainability. I did a bit of sustainability communications. So, but that's like my professional career in the last 5 years.
Okay.
So I currently run a community called the 97th Streets. It's basically like a community for people in creative marketing and brand professionals. So we do this like bi-weekly newsletters where we just have like relaxed takes on what brands are doing, what marketers are talking about, what are the things that people should be paying attention to, just to basically help advance the growth of people within the marketing space generally. And of course, there are many more things that we do, but I think I'll just keep it at that. And then what else again do I do? I'm a writer. At the core of everything, I'm actually a writer. So in fact, that's how I transition into the space. I write, and when I say I write, not just business stuff or brand stuff, but also creative pieces, poetry,
I didn't say we are coming.
Oh, I feel like most people who actually go into the space probably like have some bits of writing, but I think I'll give more context into that like much later into the conversation. But yeah, that's me as a person.
I'm actually very much interested in this writing part.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you actually put out like your whatever it is that you write, like the poetry, for example? Is it out there?
I used to write poems for myself. I believe I'm my biggest audience. Very narcissistic thing to do, but yeah. Well, like a great man once said that creatives are narcissistic, and I think I like to think I'm part of them. I don't know. In some sense, I actually do write poems for myself, but recently I started taking to publishing.
Okay.
And when I say publishing, just like a Substack publishing, nothing
Okay,
grand,
okay.
nothing fancy. But like, I mean, I've seen a couple of people read my stuff and like them, so I just thought, why not share them, really? So I started publishing on Substack. But yes, apart from creative pieces, I also like write non-fictions, and I just peel out my thoughts, about certain things, preferably non-marketing things, because marketing is literally my life from Monday to Friday. So yeah,
Okay.
just something a little bit different.
I think before you leave here, I'll just ask you maybe to recite maybe one of your poems for me.
And please don't do that to me
I
because
think I
I
will.
do not have. I'm not good at memorizing my lines.
I don't even mind you bringing out your phone to recite it. I think
Oh,
I just
definitely.
want to
Oh,
hear.
okay, that's fine.
So
That's
okay,
fine.
yeah. So let's just get to the matter of today, marketing,
Yes.
right? So Favour, what is marketing in the practical sense? I know we all talk about marketing. In fact, there are so many definitions of marketing, but what can you say marketing is in a practical sense? If you need to or have to explain it in the most simplest form.
This reminds me of something that our professors used to say in school, and that is not to go all geeky and stuff. But usually when you're like writing a theory exam, you're like, there is no universal definition to this term. However, I
Yeah,
submit.
yeah.
This writer submits. Um, the simplest way to captivate marketing, I want to say putting what you've created out there, but I think marketing is actually way more than that. By the core of it, it's a business function. So, and the reason I'm saying it's a business function is because people actually do a lot of products. They do a lot of thinking around products, goods, services, but they don't do a lot of thinking about marketing because it's always like an afterthought for them. It's not a business function. So, first of all, it's a business function that actually helps to determine. It's a very difficult one to define in a simple word.
Try.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I think what I'm going to do instead is to just like do a summary of where it starts and where it ends. So marketing starts when you find a market
Okay.
and conduct a research for like a particular, you're trying to find a market for a particular goods or services. I dare say that sometimes by even with marketing, you can even find a potential product you should be serving a certain demography. So basically market research, it starts from research, just understanding the needs of people. And then it goes all the way to actually creating the product. And then, of course, the elements of the creating the product there is factoring in the things that people actually want. And then at the end of the day, putting it out there to sell to them.
Okay.
So now people at the core of it, and maybe at the end of it, just also tracking that this thing was actually successful. So the way it works now is, first of all, you've identified the product or need through a market research. You've been able to develop the product, but like not just developing the product or the goods or services, whatever it is, but you've also been able to factor in the customer's perspective, what they actually need. That's data points. That's interaction is a function of marketing. They're now putting it out there that we've created this thing for you, which is the part that most people actually relate to most. That's the putting it out there is also marketing. So at the end of the day, it's an end-to-end thing. It's a business function, and you need a very good marketing unit to be able to like pull this. I don't know if it's that simple enough, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think I get it. And from what you've just explained,
Right.
it seems as though marketing starts from the very beginning. I mean, compared to what we think marketing is.
Yeah.
Okay, marketing is maybe when somebody is not saying, "Oh, I'm selling da 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 da." It actually starts from the very beginning,
very
from the
beginning.
conception, or is that correct?
Yes, from the
Of the
conception of the idea of the
Oh,
product.
okay, okay. So I think that brings me to the next question, right? What's different between branding, advertising, and marketing?
So first of all, it's a very dicey one for me to actually weigh in because I've seen a couple of conversations around this. And even people I respect, they sort of like have varying thoughts on, what this thing looks like. And, I used to say personally, one of the things that was very troubling for me when I got into the marketing space was actually defining certain functions. It seems simple, but like hard. I don't know if that makes sense because you could be talking to somebody and somebody has a totally different perspective about what they are doing, and they're also doing marketing or they're also working in marketing space. And so coming to agreement with definition of these things can be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to make an attempt. So
Okay.
branding, you said branding,
Advertising, and
marketing. So I think marketing itself is an umbrella function.
Okay.
If you look at it from the age-long 4 Ps of marketing, it is product, place, promotion, and products,
Do we have people?
place, yeah, wait, chill. Product,
I
place,
don't know. I'm just guessing.
product, place, promotion, price.
Price. Oh, okay.
But then this people actually comes into it when you look at the fact that there's an extension. So it's now 7 Ps. You now start saying physical evidence. you now start seeing people and one other one.
I
I've
feel like I'm
forgotten.
taking a marketing course right
Yeah,
now.
and that's actually those are the actual 4 P's of marketing. So it means that your from a product perspective, your marketing actually informs the kind of product you actually develop and how you develop it. Because at the end of the day, you're selling to people, and then people have to be involved in how the product is being curated for them before you can now
Sure.
say you've created it for
For
you.
you.
Then when you look at it from the place, that's distribution. It has to be available where people are. It's still
Sure
part
thing.
of. Then when you look at it from price sensitivity, you need to know the earning power of your customers, And when you look at it from promotion, yeah, promotion is now it's under promotion, branding, advertising, and every other thing you're talking about now comes into place.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and then there's physical evidence. So physical evidence it's a new part of, P's.
I've never heard of that anyway. I
Yeah,
think this is my
it
first
was when
time.
I took an advanced course in marketing, I realized there was something like
Okay.
that. I think it's something we all interact with, but it's just it seems like a new additional concept. I don't think it's really that new, but I also think it's something that's always been with us. Basically, physical evidence is things that just basically tangible things, like things you can. Physical evidence is basically evidence. Tangible things you can relate to. Maybe tangible or non-tangible. So things that basically engages your, let's say, your sense of touch, your sense of smell, things that just basically engages everything.
I really want to understand what the physical evidence means. So let's take a brand as an
For example,
example.
okay.
So let's use my brand, right, as an
Yeah, okay.
example, right? It's I don't know where this falls, entertainment, podcast, whatever. So assuming we are creating a marketing strategy or campaign for this, for this brand, what would the physical evidence be in this case?
So if you're thinking about physical evidence, we'll probably look at the space. I'm your guest, for instance. If I'm associating a kind of smell to your studio, is a physical evidence for me. It strikes a chord that every time I come to your studio, it smells a certain kind of way.
Or maybe the decor or how
The
we arrange
decoration.
things.
So it engages my eyes, it engages
Okay.
my senses, my 6 senses. Maybe not 6 senses, but like at least some part of the senses as we know it. So
Okay.
that's also a very important part of marketing, marketing as the broadest points. Then of course you talk about promotion. Okay, I've talked about promotion.
Yes, yeah.
Place, we talked about price sensitivity. We already talked about price generally, not price sensitivity. There are different kind of price.
I
We
think
talked about
process.
people.
Is it
There's also
process?
process,
Okay.
how it is created. Thank you for actually saying that. Yeah, that's the 7th one actually. Process, how it is created. There's a reason why what is acceptable in this a restaurant A, and when they establish a new franchise or like a new branch, the mode of creating is still the same. The processes involved. Also, how do people get? It can be as thin as that, and it can also be as broad as, or how do I resolve problems? Basically processes. There has to be some very clear process to things. It's also part of marketing. And then maybe I feel like there's one I'm missing out on, which is very people. So people is very broad. It could go as far as your customers, it could go as far as your employees. People don't actually understand that.
Suppliers.
Also suppliers. Like every stakeholder involved is actually
Okay.
it should be accounted for under people. Because as much as you're trying to like sell to customers, you're also trying to convince your employees that they are worth betting in their career, whatever it is, on whatever you're creating. But at the same time, though, we're also looking at stakeholders, like your investors, that you're worth betting on. There is a way you manage all of these people. So people is also definitely a very important factor in marketing. So, but like so marketing is an umbrella thing.
Marketing
It's
is actually
broad.
very broad. It's the
broad.
model of it all then.
Yeah, it's the
I
model.
mean, I think I can say that because from everything you said now, you mentioned promotion, branding, advertising, and all of that. So marketing is even broader than I thought.
It's broad.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah, but marketing is actually very
So
broad.
I think I want to know how you got into this space, this marketing space.
Okay, so
what really piqued your interest?
Okay, so it's a long story, but I'm going to try to keep it short. But I think I can trace it back to my love for literature, which is
Okay.
very rare. But very, I loved literature in school. People assumed I was a writer because I was good with literature, literary appreciation, reciting poems and whatnot. And so, but like, and people would often write stuff and send them to me to review.
Really?
Case in point, I've not written anything. Or maybe to be fair, I'd written a 25 page, like, sorry, 25 chapter novel, like when I was like in maybe primary school, which I already misplaced. So I didn't think that much
But why
of
did they
writing.
think you were the best person to review whatever it
I
is you
don't
were
know.
writing?
It could be eloquence, it could be literature, it could be, I don't know. But like, for whatever reason, everyone just thought I was a writer. Ugh,
Okay.
and I didn't have to, like, I did not have to that. But I think it was not until my days in university when I got into school
Hmm.
I got involved in campus journalism. So I was first the news editor of New Laxon, and then I
Okay.
later became the online editor that basic pioneered the publishing, like the
Pioneered. Cool stuff.
for for their websites, because I need to put that because the institution had been trying to um Unilaxon had been trying to go online, for a while. They were always making physical production newspapers. And for some reason, it was just not working. And I think it's because of the structure. It was managed by students. The students would graduate, and all of those
Yeah.
things. So it was very, like, I guess it was difficult. But I was able to, myself and the entire editorial board team were able to do that. And so I started writing a lot then. I was doing a lot of writing then, journalistic pieces. My favorite kind of writing was feature. I loved to write feature. Just sit with people, just tell me your story, and I'm going to write it. And that's because it also allows for a lot of experimental. It wasn't as restricted as news writing. News writing,
Okay.
you can't use flowery words. Even in feature too, you can't use flowery words, but you can use a lot of creative expression. You can use anecdotes. You can use
What are flowery words, please?
flowery words are just basically fluffy words, like describing somebody as the best thing that's happened after
Oh,
sliced
okay,
bread.
okay, okay, okay.
You're not allowed to use it in journalism, even in feature. But in feature is more lenient towards using literary expressions like
Okay.
synecdoches,
Okay.
idioms,
At
idiomatic
least I know
expressions,
those
and
ones. I
whatnot.
did literature.
So, so I loved to write feature pieces on people, on events, and
Okay.
circumstances. And I was initially the news editor, and then later on the online editor. And so it was from there I realized, okay, I actually have a thing for writing. I can actually write. It's not a fuss. It was not just all in my head. And then from there, well, like, interestingly, when I got in, I thought I was going to do investigative journalism. I was going to become a special reporter.
Really?
But like, it didn't take me too long to realize that, nah, that's not my path. So I had my first, I submitted for a competition that was Creative Leaders, Future Leader in Marketing competition. That's organized by the Advan Awards. And I think I was in my year 2 then. Then I made the top 5, but I'd never had any advertising experience. I just submitted that brief out of, I don't even know
Top five
what,
out of how many people?
I don't know, but I don't want to exaggerate, but maybe at least we had about 20 campuses that participated.
Wow.
And out of the top 5, we had 3 Unilag students. So it meant that most schools have probably had more representatives.
Okay.
So I made top 5. And so that gave me that signal that I could actually, like, do something in this advertising space. I mean, and I was competing with people that already had experiences. When I say experience, internship, they're also students, but like they've interned. I've never interned, nothing. All my experience was in campus-based
Campus.
journalism. And then I got my very first opportunity. Shout out to Mrs. Tolulope in Bedebem. She gave me a first opportunity,
Shout
actually.
out to her.
Yeah, but she gave me a first opportunity. Just like, what do you want? I said, I want an internship. And she gave me an internship. And I remember
Okay.
then clearly in her office, she runs an experiential marketing firm. And I remember that clearly in our office, the first thing she just asked me, what can I do? I said, write. But you have to know more than writing. What exactly? I said, I can just write. I said, okay, you know what? You're going to do your internship here, and along the line, we'll do like some sort of departmental rotation. We'll know how things work across different. So I had a bit of experience with strategy and accounts planning.
Okay.
And then I was the designated, for some reason, she made me the designated writer because they also needed to write stuff for event publicity and stuff. So I'm going to write it. And that's how I got into marketing. That was my first experience. That was in 2019. And then
2019.
I was still
Wow.
a student. And then from
Okay.
there, I would later move on to work in a PR firm, digital and PR. And then from there, I started to like niche down to the things I'm actually more interested in up until this time where. So also that gave me like a lot of experience working across different brands. So when I say
Yeah.
I've worked it's sustainability on sustainability brands, I've worked on tech brands, I've worked on telecoms, I've worked on, yeah, I think in bits of FMCG. It's drawn from all of these experiences because I've worked with all these agencies that have done these things and I've had to work with clients like that. So um, at the end of the day, I think writing led me to marketing. Writing is not enough to make you a great marketer, frankly speaking, but I still think marketing is 80% writing. The more clearer you are with your thoughts in writing it, the better it is for you to think. So, of course, there are many things. If you're a better writer, then it means that you are a better person at observing people. You probably get to know people better, like generally. It doesn't mean that you're the best, but you're the loudest person in the room. It just means that you get to know people more, whether by conversation or by observation. And these are like critical skill sets you need actually as a marketing person. So, and then if you're not just that person who knows things, but can also write things
Right.
clearly,
Articulate your
articulate
thoughts.
your thoughts, then that means you have like at least, there are many other things that used to marketing. There is a whole lot of moving parts, but that actually sets you on a very good path. At least for me, it did. So, and that's how I got into marketing space.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Very interesting story.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk about a marketing campaign,
Okay.
right? You know, while you were talking and then sharing your experience, your background, it just came to mind. I mean, I haven't worked with several brands. You would obviously have worked on several marketing campaigns.
Okay.
So without mentioning names, I don't know if that's possible, but without mentioning names, I want to mention like or describe a brand that actually got your attention. Like, so you saw the marketing campaign, like, okay, this is it. Like the story, whatever it is they're trying to do, the impact was going to make. You were just like, okay, this just got my attention. Was there any campaign like that?
Okay, so a lot of companies actually, I tend to pay attention to a lot of so there was a time that one of the ways I was developing myself in my own craft was to look at campaigns, maybe billboards or TVCs, and just think, is there another better way they could execute this? Not because there's a better way to, not because they did bad,
You're
but
just
just like I'm
curious.
just curious. And usually the kind of campaigns that get to me are the ones I actually already love. So I already love them. I'm like, is this the best way? It's like I remember then there was and this came from one of the trainings I had taken, I think 2020-ish. Person said the way you actually get better is to probably have your own folder of amazing campaigns and then try to now start thinking around them because you don't know what kind of boardroom conversations, what kind of strategy, what probably led that. Can you try to recreate something like that or something probably even better? I mean, it gets your attention, right? So now you are not putting yourself as I don't know what conversation led to this,
Like reverse engineering or
something
what?
like that. Well, so a lot of companies actually get my attention. A lot of companies get my attention. Um, so without mentioning names, I think the most brands, I would just mention the industry, and
Okay.
that's, I think, the telecoms brands,
Telecoms. Okay.
the industry rather, they do a lot of storytelling. And I'm sure that even by saying this,
I can already
you can
picture.
think of the,
Yeah.
so they do a
Some
lot
of
of
them.
storytelling. So, and I love that. Um, in fact, for one of my submission, I would later go on to be a silver recipient of the future leader, for the future leader in marketing in Advan. So
When?
like I resubmitted again. After I came, I was shortlisted top
Okay.
5, so I resubmitted again and I actually came second this time around and got the award. And so one of the brands I used in the
That's
case
so
study
cool.
was it was a telecoms brand.
Okay.
So I personally did so I love like most of the storytelling they do in that space. And not to forget your question. What did you want me to say again?
I just wanted to, like, you've already answered
Oh, okay, I've
actually,
answered.
like the
Okay.
telecom part. I wanted to ask, like, I asked if there's any marketing campaign that actually, like, got your attention the most.
Yeah.
I kind of generalized
Just
that the
just like they
telecom,
come telecom
yeah,
space
yeah.
that
So,
they do a lot of
so
storytelling.
you
Yeah.
really answered my
Okay,
question.
fantastic. Without mentioning names, yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
without mentioning names,
Because
yes.
there's no way you explain that without actually mentioning
Yeah,
names.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, I think what I want to ask is with this marketing and telling of stories, right? Do you think that brands, do you think that they underestimate their power to actually, you know, shape culture and behavior of people?
There was something I was taught in in school. And I'm not, I used to say, I stopped being the belief like I stopped being one of those people who used to say that school is a scam. Because apparently, I've actually, by my experience, I've actually started to see some of the things my professors actually taught me. And I was like, oh, this was actually, they were onto something. They definitely knew it. And maybe the way we received it then might not have been the best, or maybe the way it was taught might not have been the best, or maybe it was just lack of experience from us, so we could not see what they were saying. But like, I can see it now. One of the things one of my professors in school had mentioned is how, but this was specifically to advertising. He said advertising reflects the society. So when you see an advert, it's basically telling a story of what actually exists in society. But he also said something that advertising is also a means of entertainment. We would have seen it a lot of times where an advert is very entertaining to you.
Yeah.
But like beyond that, apart from the fact that you can reflect a society and it can be a form of entertainment, I think another point that we tend to forget is that advertising can actually shape a society. So we we can be in an era where we don't just have brands that are jumping on conversations, but they can start conversations themselves. And by starting conversations, you shape how people you shape culture generally, like right, how people move, how people act, and we've seen a lot of brands actually do that. In Nigeria a bit, but much more like in the West. But like we have so when we say shaping conversations, we should not at any point underestimate the role that your work as a brand person or as a marketing person actually does in shaping culture or shaping conversations. In fact, I think you should think around it. One of the things that are my own professional beliefs. So at some point in my life, I think during my third, fourth year, I started to like ask myself, what are my core professional beliefs? And I realized that one of it is to start a brand or start a company or whatever it is. From a marketing perspective, you need to create a kind of meaning that is bigger than your products. So a kind of meaning that is powerful, a larger than life kind of thing. Something that probably seems impossible for your brand to be at the core, to be at the middle of. Creates, and this meaning can be as big as a brand that probably does. For instance, you have a podcast that's the conversations with
Ayeni
Ayeni
Princess.
Princess, and it's a brand on its own. But if you want to, for instance, just make it have like a bigger meaning, like a larger than life, beyond what it represents, or maybe not what it represents. I'm trying to because podcast is a very interesting scenario to use. Most of the time I'm used to products and services, right? But you could create a bigger meaning. So bigger meaning is just tie the essence of your podcast to a conversation you want to drive, a conversation you want to advance. It could be a conversation around sickle cell, mental health. It could be as big as that, a cost as big as that. It could also be as small as, I just want people to smile. There are some brands that all they just want to tell you is that this life is not that hard. And that's their contribution to society. And so it means that even though they are selling burger, all they want to just let you know is you need to smile always. And that's it. That's profound because you found a meaning. That's your contribution to society. Now, whatever that looks like, that is enough because in a way that's inexhaustible. You can't exhaust narratives around making people smile, right? So it means that you can do even CSR. You can do your marketing campaigns. Anything you want to do can basically spin around that impact, and you can actually drive a lot of conversations around it. So finding meaning that is bigger than whatever it is the functional use of products. So tea or coffee is good for early morning stuff or when you want to stay late at night, especially for black coffees, right? But what other thing do I want to advance beyond the functionality of that? My product helps me to transfer money beyond finance or whatnot. What exactly do you want to advance? And people don't need to be scared of, it doesn't have to relate to, some people tend to think safe. Oh, we're doing finance, so let's just do financial literacy. It can literally be totally different. You can be in finance and all you're just doing is advancing conversations around malaria. It doesn't matter. It just has to be, you just have to find that balance and find the meaning. And I think that's what marketing, I feel like for the next couple of decades, And it's not necessarily a new invention. Like a lot of brands are already like standing up for things, right?
Yeah.
So it's something that African brands need to do more. You need to like have a bigger meaning, a larger than life meaning. I don't know. I keep using larger than life, but that can be it.
It's fine.
But like another thing for me, it's going to where your customers take you to. So you have to always go there, be available wherever it is they are, because they're your customers.
Yeah.
Also, I also have a personal belief where I believe you should also empower, especially for African brands, empower the people you're serving. So if I'm selling to a young demography of 18 to let's say 25, they have like, that's a very broad. Age demographies can be very tricky, but like maybe they have like certain kind of needs. There's a certain place in life they are in. There's a certain phase. You can invest in that phase where you are empowering them. You're selling to them. They are the one patronizing your brand, but at the same time, you're also empowering them in whatever way or form. Another way is, like I said, going to your customer whenever you meet. That is basically to improve the functionality of your product. How do they interact with it? Product functionality. You can design your product for. There's a popular product that was designed for social interaction, but people have used it for something entirely different. That's product. It's true. Because you can design the product thinking something, and the way the people interact with that product is reversed. It's like the same way we have our pen, and the pen that is meant for writing becomes the same thing that people use to hold their air. Is like that's function. That's a lot of things that you should be in tune with this, how people use your products. And another thing that's very important is beyond the meaning, beyond going to also define your brand, what it is that you actually stand. The thing is, a brand is a person.
Really?
Yeah, a brand is a
That's the first
person.
time I'm hearing that.
It's
Brand
a
is
person. A brand is a person. Even legally, I think your business is even treated as a person,
an entity.
as an entity. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's actually a person, and so it possesses actual character. It leaves people with feelings, with sensation, with thinking, with thoughts. Anything you do, and
Okay.
you would be very myopic to not treat it as such, because a lot of people actually don't. So they just think the brand is a brand, and I don't know whatever it is, but like it's a person. And so because it's a person, you need to define it. Who are you? Are you a sage? Do you like to sound like University of Gege? Is that what you call it? Do you want to sound always?
I like this POV.
Mm,
I really like it. It's making me see things from like a different angle. Like me thinking that okay, my brand is an actual person that should have a particular
It
character.
has a character.
Should maybe sound a particular way.
It's also
should act a
how meaning
particular
can also
way.
come. That's where meaning can make sense to you. So like if your brand looks like a brand is a person that is passionate about, let's say, poverty. Now you've personalized it. This is a person that cares about ending poverty or hunger. Do you get what I'm saying? And so you narrow through, you basically, everything you do, you're still selling your product, but you also like make sure that you're contributing to society through that. And trust me, there is no other way to build brand love, the kind of affinity that people are looking for, than a brand that's actively doing things for people. And not just haphazardly, not that, oh, today somebody brought a proposal, we are doing medical outreach, let's sponsor them. Like, it's not because you just want to like save face, whitewash your image or something, but because you genuinely care about it. And people can always see the track. So you have to define your brand. Who are you? There are a lot of things. How do you want to sound? What do you want to say? What do you want to say part time? How do you want to respond to situations? What are the things that you're passionate about beyond your product and everything? A mentor of mine used to say that what your product does or what your brand represents outside of a product defines your brand more than your product. So it means that if I'm selling bread, what happens when there's no bread or when people don't need bread? What they think about my brand when they're not thinking about bread probably defines my brand more than the bread itself. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
So that means you always, and that the problem is many people don't find that gap, that thing that does not exist. Like when there's no bread, what happens? When people don't do it. So it means that bread is the only thing it represents. Now the problem is when another person comes to sell bread, you find yourself competing on the bread level with them. You're not competing on the hunger level, or you're not competing on a poverty level, or I'm talking about meaning, or meaning level basically. You're competing on a bread level, functionality level. And of course, people also like sort of like neglect this because we're now living in a more, if you ask me, more marketing now has been more performance based. Sign up, clicks, acquisition, views, impressions. People are more number based, and I'm not against that because numbers are how we actually know that we're growing.
Sign up, we'll give you 1,000.
That kind of thing. It's and they are great because they have their own place. But there is something, it's like I said, marketing is broad. The
Yeah.
promotion wheel is actually broad. So it means that every promotion aspect needs to be doing their own job. So people who are doing brand, for instance, have to do a lot of brand storytelling. People who are in performance are basically more action oriented, number oriented, sign up. They need to do their job. But like people also in experiential marketing is basically you experience the brand. I can't explain more than that. It's that. But like people also doing PR for public image. Everybody has to do their job. It's a cohesive stuff to make the brand actually better. But and then I think the last thing that I would like to add from a professional standpoint is beyond the meaning, beyond defining your brand, and beyond going to where the customers take you to, always be open to trying things. Like try things, test things, work. There's this thing I read in an article how like a lot of big techs work on their product. They release a feature, it doesn't perform. So they do like a point and I don't know if it's point and kill or like try and kill. I don't know. Basically, they try it, it doesn't work, they kill it. Like they're very sharp with execution. So a typical brand needs to be very swift as far as in marketing. And marketing has the slowest execution ever because I don't know, for some reason in the boardroom it's always very like the decision is very, very slow. Everybody just goes, oh, is this how we want to? We should have a more agile system where we can try things and kill them. And marketing can also contribute to products in the sense that we can have a product that's functioning, but if marketing thinks that based on our research, people are using this product this way, it would be nice to have a feature. The problem is many people think just because you work in marketing, you might not have any contribution to how the product is formed. But that's a problem because really the ideal marketing person is actually the champion of the customer in the boardroom. Is the one championing the customer. Probably ideally that's an ideal situation because some marketing people don't actually know this, and so yes, be open to trying things. Try things. When it fails, you kill it. When it works, you allow it. I know that digital marketers understand this very well because we do their A/B testing, where they can create two different communications. The one that performs is the one that goes. The one that doesn't,
That I
they
know
kill
at
it.
least.
Yeah, but like it's still the same thinking. It's still
Yeah.
it just flows more into a broader perspective that let's try this thing. So yeah, that's it.
You guys have heard from the experts. So, Olushola, before we go,
Right.
what do you say to a founder, maybe someone that is working on a product, try to launch whether a service or a product? What do you tell them from a marketing perspective? Should marketing be the first thing they have to worry about? Or at what point do they need to start thinking or worrying about marketing?
The age-long question. Everybody asks this thing. I've read articles on it. People have different thoughts. Very subjective. But I also think it's context. In fact, everything we've discussed so far is context specific. Very important. I like to always put like context is very needed.
It's your opinion.
It's my opinion, but I could also have like a very opinion in the different depending on what I'm looking at because it's context specific. What situation am I in?
Okay.
Like for example, in this case, there's budgetary constraints. If there's budgetary constraints, marketing might not be in the way that people understand it might not be the first thing.
Let me make the question more specific.
Okay.
So let's look at an individual. Let's say me, for example, trying to start something, let's say a beauty brand or a beauty product. So at what point should I begin to think marketing?
So let's reverse a bit. Based on what we've said so far leading to this point, don't forget that we've said marketing actually starts when you're doing market research. So you're starting a beauty product. You already, first of all, you know the people you're creating a beauty product for. The moment you invest in those people, when I say invest, like invest in research to getting to know these people more, you started your marketing process already. So marketing doesn't have to be, it's not until when you put the product out there, starting hiring influencers, all of this. It doesn't start there. It starts from getting to know the people before you even develop the product to start with. So for a founder, it might help to actually have somebody who brings a very balanced marketing perspective to your founding team.
What do you mean by that?
So somebody who understands the market. Of course, I know that because before you go into the business aspect of it, obviously you have to know what the market is looking like, industry. But I'm saying that somebody who can champion the customers.
What if you're a solo founder? It's just you on the team. You don't have anybody yet.
Yeah, so you should also definitely learn one or two things about marketing. Yeah, do the research yourself. I mean, just get to know people. I keep saying it, like at the end of the day, you're selling to people, not
Yeah.
robots, not industry numbers, not whatnot. So know the people as much, at least to the level of your capability on a more, let's say, personalized level. Do research, get to know. But I think marketing is a core function that starts from the product. You can ignore it, you can pretend like it's not, but at the end of the day, it actually is. And it's best if you actually have somebody on the team who brings a marketing perspective, who champions your customers on the team. And truthfully, the person does not have to wear a marketing title.
Okay.
So the person can be hired for a product role, but just understands, do you get? Because I've seen a lot of product managers who are actually very good with, at least, like I said, marketing is broad. So they're probably good
An
with
aspect.
one aspect of it that actually champions the customers, and maybe some people not. But point is, you always have to have that person on your team. And if you don't have anybody like that, if you're a solo founder, you have to be somebody who actually also learn a bit of storytelling. It just makes it easy. A bit of storytelling. You just have an idea here and there and all of that stuff. But marketing is definitely a must have for everything. And don't bring it at when the product and everything is already done. You're like, oh, we need a marketing business to come, and no.
Start at the very beginning.
At the very beginning. It's either yourself or somebody you've hired, or somebody who's not wearing the title but has a proper understanding of this thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And thank you for this conversation. I
welcome.
really learned a lot and I had fun discussing this.
I did too. I did too. I actually did too. I mean, at some point, of course, there were like things I felt like, we could say more, but I also know that it's timed and it's not a masterclass.
Yes.
At some point, I started to feel like maybe, but
But
it's been a
was
beautiful,
fun.
it's been a beautiful conversation so far.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So, Olushola, how can people find and connect with you on socials?
Okay, so my name is Favour Olushola. So that is on LinkedIn. I don't use Facebook, but yeah, if you check on Facebook, you find me there.
Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, but like my name is not Favour Olushola on Instagram. It's actually Teminiko_.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain that. I don't think I have to explain that, but like, yeah. So you can connect with me there. I have a Substack platform, Existential Downfall. That is not for marketing related conversation. That's just like me writing my own stuff. And like I said, I am the 97th Street community. So obviously it's like a community developed, created for like young professionals. You can follow our newsletters. We also have a lot of partnerships and trainings and stuff that are going to be going on for like people. And yeah, so that's it.
You heard the man. Please follow Olushola Favour everywhere and anywhere.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed this episode because I totally did. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this episode. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Bye.